remained committed to Christianity, even though they professed a skeptical attitude toward many of its central doctrines, including the divinity of Christ and the reality of biblically recorded miracles. Thomas Jefferson's view on this point proved to be as mistaken as his notion that American slavery would die a natural death. Deism faded away. Americans turned their energies to building and populating churches. In the early 19th century, a new generation of American leaders branded nonbelief in a God who intervened in human affairs and who judged humans as fit or unfit for heaven as a scandalous position bordering on moral turpitude. However, illogically, they equated deism with atheism. Atheism became a pejorative, a blanket term that covered all forms of religious skepticism. Ministers and politicians used it to attack threats, often more imagined than real, on social order and the rule of law. Individual states had laws that placed a premium on traditional theistic beliefs. Those laws, in part, reflected the nervousness attendant to our democratic experiment. We easily forget that our early history was not a period marked by strong national self-confidence or greatness. If it seemed plausible that atheism undermined social stability, that fact justified laws that discriminated against non-believers. It didn't strike most early Americans as controversial that people who denied the existence of a divine creator could not hold public office. In many states, they could not testify in court, even in their own defense. If they published treatises proclaiming their non-belief or spoke about it publicly, they could face criminal charges that subjected them to heavy fines or jail terms. A different point of view remained embedded in the United States Constitution. Its First Amendment, along with a provision in Article 6 banning religious tests for federal offices, suggested that Americans shouldn't face discrimination because of what they believed or didn't believe about God and religion. But until 1940, when the Supreme Court in Cantwell v. Connecticut held that the concept of due process of law, embodied in the 14th Amendment, made the religious clauses of the First Amendment applicable to the states. States could follow their own notions of what constituted religious liberty. They were free to write laws based on the assumption that atheism, deism, or religious skepticism posed a danger to the safety and morals of the community. Denied basic civil rights available to most Christians, and usually to Jews, non-believers were relegated to second-class citizenship. American state laws have changed over the years, and non-believers have more legal security in the 21st century than they had 100 years ago. Even so, a belief based on theistic religious teachings may still carry more legal weight than a belief based on a secular philosophy. Moreover, on the playing field of public opinion, the rules for believers and non-believers are not equal. Whatever the law says, an avowal of atheism effectively disqualifies a person from the nation's highest public offices and many local offices in much of the country. More than half of polled Americans state without equivocation that they would never vote for anyone who doubts the existence of God, whatever his or her qualifications. People who have no use for religion may run for public office, but no political advisor would tell them to declare openly their non-belief in God. The view that godless people are dangerous troublemakers received solid reinforcement from America's long engagement in the Cold War. We advertised ourselves as a godly nation, locked in doctrinal combat with the atheistic Soviet Union, casting the terms of the engagement in amazingly apocalyptic terms. If evil disbelief triumphed over godly pietism, the free world would end. In this era, Congress, with bipartisan enthusiasm, inserted the phrase, "under God," into the Pledge of Allegiance, and in 1956 adopted, "In God We Trust," as the national motto, replacing E pluribus unum, out of many one, and for the first time placed it on all American currency. But as we shall see, the fierce popular identification